So today what I want to start doing is really starting to unpack each one of these fivefold graces. What are they? And now here's the nice thing. You might be thinking to yourself, well, if I'm only one of those things, then that means that I'm going to be riveted for 1 week, and then when we talk about the other 4, I'm just going to stay home or sleep through those. No. Because here's why. It's because, one, there might be something I talk about today, and I'm talking about apostles today. You may have never understood what an apostle even is. What do they do? You may have never understood that that's a part of you. I did not know that I had any form of apostolic grace until like 6 months ago. Like that's the first time I figured it out. And the only time I figured it out was when I started reading about it, hearing about it. And suddenly there was things inside of me. It wasn't an idea of like, oh, that sounds interesting. It was like something at the core of my being started like resonating, being like, that's us. So it's really cool listening to all these things and trying to see what awakens within you. Because you may have any of these 5 graces. And here's the good news too. Even if you don't have that particular grace, if you're saying, well, this is definitely not me, here's another important thing. Like it says in Ephesians 4, we are supposed to be equipped by each of these graces. We're supposed to, one, have a certain kind of honor and respect for the other parts of the body. And we have a lot of honor and respect for people when we understand their significance, their importance. So today, as we're talking about apostles, even if that's not you, even if you have not an apostolic bone in your body, you can still look and recognize other apostles and say, oh, that's why God put you in this church. Oh, that's the service you provide to the body of Christ. Oh, that's how you can equip me in something I don't have. So as we're going through all of these, today's apostle, we'll work our way, we'll get all of them. Don't worry, I'm not going to tell you what order we're going in. I think we're not going to go in APEST order because I want you to be surprised. But I think as we're talking about each of these, not only be thinking, is this me, but think too, do they have something I need? Do I need to be equipped by them in a particular way? So anyways, without further ado, let's get talking about the fivefold apostle. And the first question is an easy one. What is an apostle? The answer to that question is, it's me. I realized that about myself. You're looking at one right here. And so I've taken 3 or 4 different fivefold tests now just to try and figure out what's a good one, which one has reliable results, which one is actually useful and practical. And the last one I took, the one I liked the best, I took the test, and out of these 5 different graces, I was 41% apostle. You know, that's bordering on half. So of all of these 5 things, almost half of me, 41%, is apostolic. And then after 41%, 39% is teacher. So here I am doing both today, teaching about apostles. This is perfect for me. I am so perfectly designed for this message. So those are the 2 things. And then the other 20% is shared between evangelism, what are the other 2? Shepherding and prophetic. So it's kind of interesting. We were even talking, I was having breakfast with Pastor Joe recently, and we were talking about how he's saying like, well, it's so important that we have the prophetic voice active. And I'm like, yeah, that's true. And I said, and that's a muscle I try to flex. But I was thinking about how, you know, him having a very high prophetic gift, he's often thinking about what do people need in this exact moment. And when I get something from God, he's trying to teach me something almost always corporately. It's very rare that God will speak to me about a single person or a single instance. He'll speak to me about a movement. God bless you. All right. God will speak to me about the whole body, or he'll talk to me about how big pieces move together. He'll show me big picture stuff. That's almost always how he speaks to me, or he'll speak to me in some sort of heavenly concept or revelation, and I think that's the teaching grace active. But when it comes to what do you just need in your heart right now as a shepherd? I don't hear that often. I do sometimes, you know, or what do you need, prophetically or evangelistically, if someone in this room needs to hear the gospel right now. Those are smaller voices, but that's what's so cool about the body of Christ is that different people are tuned into these different voices. So anyways, what is an apostle? I am. Let me explain. So, and again, not a formal, titled apostle with a name tag, but somebody who carries apostolic grace. Let me be clear about that. So, when I was a kid, when I was in, when I was in college, just post-college. So it's called 2013, something like that. I had graduated, I was doing music, I had no idea what I was going to do with my life, and one of the only jobs that I had consistently over the summers was I was a summer camp counselor at a youth theater camp. And at this camp, it's very creative arts and gospel kind of fused together for a straight week, and it's beautiful. And one of my fellow counselors said, hey, I gave this, I wrote like a spoken word piece so I can speak to the young women in this camp. They were middle school and high school age girls. And he wanted to speak identity. Who does God say you are? And it was this beautiful piece. So he said, like, hey, can you help me put it on video? So many of these girls are like, I want to listen to that over and over again. I feel like there's something that just resonates with me. I just needed to hear that. So we said, okay, let's find a way to make a video out of it. I barely knew how to make videos. That's like my job now. That's like my most well-developed skill is video. And back when I barely knew how to put a video together, we said, okay, let's put this on video. Let's see what we can do. So using my dad's old camera, which had only automatic settings, and it was grainy, and it was weird, and it was cheap, but we made a video, and we gave it our best, and we sent it out to all those girls that were at the camp. We said middle school and high school girls. There was maybe 150, 300 girls or something like that we sent it out to them and say, here you go. This is from the camp. We're thinking maybe, 20 or 30 of those girls were serious of being like, I actually do want to watch this again. And we're like, the rest of them, it'll just probably sit somewhere on a playlist and they'll never listen to it again. So we were surprised when we checked back like a week later and we're like, wow, 1,000 people have listened to this video. Like maybe it was just those 20 girls who listened to it like 100 times each, something like that. And then we're like, well, that was kind of funny. And then it went to like another 2 weeks and we're like, oh, we have 30,000 views on this. Like, that's a little bit different. Like that's a very different number. So then like 2 more months went by and now we're getting calls from a church in Florida asking for our permission to use our video in their youth ministry. And we're like, what? Hold on. No. We sent this out to like 150 girls. Like this is not like, why is there now 100,000 views on this thing? And on it went to the point where that video currently sits at over 10 million views. So that was kind of a wild story of like, that's really interesting. And also thinking too of like, so both me and the other creatives involved in that project barely knew what we were doing, but we felt like God was saying something, and we did it. And I watched that video now, and I cringed the whole time because professionally, as a videographer, so many mistakes. Bad lighting, this is grainy, that's choppy, bad editing. In the middle of the video, there's like a bold, bright green frame. That's just like a blatant error. It's just completely wrong, but that did not stop God from getting that content out to the world. So that was really cool, right? So that's super fun, and it's funny because I've spent the rest of my life trying to have another video go viral, and I haven't done it. So that's my creative burden that I always carry with me. So anyways, that was a godly moment. What happened is for that moment, we struck a chord with the world. It turns out a lot of women needed to hear this. It wasn't just the girls at our camp. So then it became like, people were sending us messages. We had people saying, you saved my life. Like I was suicidal and I finally understand who God is. I realized that I'm a daughter and not just a subject of an evil God or a tyrant. The messages were just piling in and there was all sorts of stuff going on. And it's funny because that actually launched kind of my career in video, and then the creative John Jorgensen, who was speaking on the thing, was now launched as a teaching pastor and does all sorts of things online. It's really cool how it all kind of started there. But it was a godly moment. We struck a chord, and the world understood God for a moment in that way. So now, as a prophet might think, okay, cool, we did it. We hit it. That was amazing. A teacher might say, there's maybe a few technical things we can pick around on that one, but okay, that's fine. A shepherd might take that video and show it to one person at a time and talk to them. An evangelist is in the comment section, talking to everyone, being like, this is you. It's like, come meet Jesus. But the apostle in me saw that video and said, okay, so we struck a chord right here. Clearly there's a need for this. There's untapped territory on the battlefield of YouTube that we can take. Like, we can do this. So rather than just thank you, Gene, that's how we felt about it. Rather than just make this a moment in one video, let's make this a movement. Let's make it bigger. Let's brand it. Let's do another video, but for gentlemen. We want guys to know what is their identity in Christ. And then we said, what does it mean to encounter Jesus? And also, what is the Holy Spirit? Can we answer questions Christians have? And it just became, through all of us as counselors of middle school and high school students, we took all the questions and troubles that we heard about from our students and just creatively found a way to present a new piece of Jesus, a new piece of the gospel every single week for a year and a half. So that is where I formed my video skills, was saying every single week, once a week, I would provide a video for a year and a half, and that's actually what helped me develop the skill and go on from there, and that was cool. But every week for a year and a half, we found one more way to present the gospel. We branded it, we published it, we pushed it, we tried to get it out. I had to bring in other creatives and activate all these other people and all these other gifts so that we can move forward together as a unit with this one focused mission, as a body, as a team, and that is what apostles do. So even and I was thinking about, this has always been the case. I'm just realizing now that I have apostolic grace, but when I thought about it as a kid, when I wrote songs, I never wanted to write a song. I wanted to write an album. I wanted to write a musical. I don't want to write a moment. I want to write a big piece, a movement, a big picture structure. When I made videos, people would say, I want a video for my website. I'm like, don't make a video. Let's make a video that leads to another one and an action that actually moves people in a certain direction. I didn't want to make a video. I wanted to make a campaign. And then when Natalie and I were preparing for marriage, we really dug in to pre-marriage courses and books and people. And we said, we don't want to just teach about marriage. We want to make a course about marriage. So we have a whole online course just to help unmarried couples prepare well for a successful marriage. Because we did all this work and I'm like, I don't want to just have this education, this knowledge, help us for a moment. I want to make this into a movement. I want hundreds of thousands of people having healthy, successful marriages because of what we've learned here. So the apostle, I'm going to say this in a sentence, and we do have a graphic for this. So apostles themselves, they're entrepreneurial, big picture kingdom builders, dedicated to transforming cities, bringing heaven to earth, and launching people into their destinies. So apostles, the biggest thing here, they're builders, and apostles are more focused on movements than moments. Apostles don't just want you to experience Jesus for a second. They want to plant a church. They want to build a ministry. They want to create a group of people, a brand that goes out, that changes things. Campus Crusade, or what's the other one? InterVarsity. Yeah, so any of these college ministries, it's not just a matter of I want people to be saved for a moment. It's I want to create a system that activates people, organizes people, and consistently achieves a mission in a legacy fashion. So yeah, more entrepreneurial, big picture people. So I'm going to read this out of 5Q. So the book that we've been reading, 5Q, they got 4 of these really good. We're still trying to figure out the last one. But what they say about apostles is this, and I'm going to kind of paraphrase from 5Q. The apostolic person is imbued with an innate sense of the big picture purpose of the organization. The apostle literally translates to sent one who is sent. The apostle, the sent one, is the person most responsible for the overall vigor as well as extension of Christianity as a whole, primarily through direct mission and church planting. They're not interested in just, I want this one person to experience Jesus right now. They're saying, we want this whole city to experience Jesus forever, right? It's a bigger picture, sometimes a little harder to do, but that's the apostolic bent. Let's continue, page 2, or part 2. Apostolic types tend to favor the entrepreneurial edges of the church and have a natural capacity for adventure. They tend to be less risk-averse than most. These are the risk takers, the big dreamers, the ones that are going to push forward and do something even if it sounds scary or difficult. Moving on there too, they provide the entrepreneurial leadership needed to spark, mobilize, and sustain movements. One more section here. The mature apostle will see the church as a living system comprised of essential parts or subsystems. This involves being the developer and custodian or protector of the DNA that determines the health of the system. Because of this, they play a vital role in the design, leadership, and health of organizations. So something kind of fun in the argument of whether or not Danny's apostolic, they'll see the church as a living system comprised of essential parts or subsystems. Kind of the idea of one person not doing everything, everybody doing something. The fivefold, making sure that we're not just one individual, we're not just a staff and people. There's all these pieces and ministries and groupings and organization, and they all work together in this big living ecosystem called the church. My view is usually the whole thing more than its individuals. And that's why I love that on our staff, most of our staff have strong prophetic and shepherding gifts, and apostolic definitely is there as well. But where I'm usually thinking about the big picture, we have so many people in the church thinking about individuals and how do individuals fit into the big picture, fit into the heavenly mission. And when we say that they are the developers and custodian of the DNA, a lot of times apostles And that's what I love even about being an apostolic teacher, the way that those combine, is the things I usually teach about are like big ideas of the gospel, right? It's not so much I'm trying to illustrate this one moment that somebody had with Jesus. I'm trying to create like a big picture, foundational understanding of who God is and what is his mission and how do we participate in that. So that's kind of fun. So next, I have another fun one for you. How do they work with the other gifts? So, right, we have apostle, prophet, evangelist, shepherd, teacher. So I'm going to go like this. Prophets initiate godly moments. They want you to know what God's hearing about you or this moment right now in this moment. So prophets initiate godly moments. Apostles initiate godly movements. Evangelists fill the building, but apostles build the building. They're going to create the thing that people are invited into most times. So apostles build the building, and evangelists fill the building. Shepherds, I'm going to read this in reverse. Apostles will bring people together. They'll unite people under a mission or a big idea or a vision. So apostles bring people together, but shepherds keep people together. Because if people spend time along each other long enough, people are going to start feeling a little bit of that friction, a little bit of that heat, a little bit of that. So apostles might unite people under a vision, but shepherds make sure they stay together under that vision. Apostles will inspire people, but teachers will instruct the people. Apostles can get people really excited about what we're going to do, but then the teacher's going to be the one that's going to explain, now this is how we do it. They bring that clear instruction and leadership. So that's kind of fun. So if we're going to talk about apostles too, there's that question of are apostles still for today? What about the 12 apostles? Isn't that all we ever needed? Aren't we done with apostles? Like, I couldn't say I'm just going to put myself up there with Paul and Peter. Like, can I just do that? Let me explain something. So 1 Corinthians 3, 10 and 11 in NIV, this is Paul talking. By the grace God has given me, I laid a foundation as a wise builder, and someone else is building on it. But each one should build with care. Next verse. For no one can lay any foundation other than the one already laid, which is Jesus Christ. So as an apostle, what he's saying is I'm not inventing a new gospel. I'm just building upon the foundation that was laid by Jesus Christ. So now you could say, well, are there no more apostles? And I would argue, is there any more kingdom that has to be made on the earth? You know, does everyone know Jesus yet? Has every city been transformed and understands Christ? Has every, evangelistic and shepherding and prophetic and teaching opportunity been taken advantage of? Or do we still need to continue building heavenly systems and structures that impact our world? I would argue that's the case. And now again, Paul talking, that foundation of Jesus Christ, I thought this was very funny. In Galatians 1:8, out of the Passion, talking to the Galatians, anyone who comes to you with a different message than the grace gospel that you have received will have the curse of God upon them. For even if Paul's saying, if I show up and start preaching something different, or an angel, Gabriel himself, appears before you in all of his splendor, if they show up and appear before you to give you a different gospel than what we've already proclaimed, God's curse will be upon them. So I think that's what's fun about apostles as the custodians or protectors of the DNA of the church. Christ over all. We are not going to move on that. That is foundational. So apostles often protect the foundation of the church, which is Jesus Christ. They do not change the foundation, they build upon it. As George Beasley Murray says, the apostles were commissioned to carry on Christ's work, not to begin a new one. Thank you. I thought it was good too. So here's another fun thing too. If you are apostolic in some way, something that I found pretty fun to read was Galatians 1 and 2. If you are an apostolic person, my homework for you today is to read Galatians 1 and 2. It's very fun. So this is Paul describing his journey to becoming an apostle. Because Paul wasn't always an apostle. Like we said, he was a Pharisee. He was a religious scholar and expert. He used to persecute Christians. He gets smacked on the road to Damascus, blinded, then gets his sight back. After that encounter, how did he go from that moment with Jesus to being established as an apostle of Jesus Christ? He describes that process through Galatians 1 and 2. I'm going to paraphrase it for you. So first, he has that moment, powerful encounter with God. What's the first thing that he does? He goes out into the Arabian desert for 3 years. The first thing, and you imagine his worldview has just been rocked. Like the God he's been persecuting all this time and all these Christians, turns out they were right and I was wrong. And he goes, I need to figure this out. Goes into the desert for 3 years just to sort that out. I think that's what's happening. During that time, he met with Peter and James, Jesus' brother. He met with them for a time, he said, and they kind of like helped him unpack some of this, which was really cool. And again, Peter and James being like public enemy number one and two, according to Saul. Now, Paul says, I actually need to talk to you guys. I actually need what you have. I no longer want to persecute you. I need you to teach me. So now that he's out there for 3 years. We then went to Syria and Turkey and preached the gospel quietly for 14 years. So now for 14 years, Paul is paying his dues in small ways. He's going to try and plant a church here. He's going to see a person saved here. He's going to slowly try and exercise what he knows about the gospel. And then after 14 years, he felt like God called him to go back and meet with the other 12 apostles, or I guess 11 at that time. Anyways, so he goes back to meet with the apostles. And he meets with them, and he presents his idea of his understanding of the grace gospel. He says, this is how I understand it. Let me know if I'm missing anything. And it said by the time he finished explaining the gospel of grace to the rest of the apostles who were with Jesus, they said they could not add anything to what he said. They're like, no, that is exactly it. We have no notes. That's exactly the grace gospel. And he says, when James, Peter, and John recognized the grace operating in his ministry, they honored him in his calling. I'll say that again. They recognized the grace operating in Paul's ministry. So James, Peter, and John honored him in his calling. So what's neat about that is you might say, well, I'm an apostle, and something that a lot of people do, specifically I think prophetic people will say, I'm a prophet, I'm walking into the house, now everybody here honor me as prophet. It's like, hang on a second, who are you? What are you capable of? Like, what's your gospel? Do you have some experience? Have you done this before? Have we seen the fruit of your ministry somewhere else? And if I say, hey, I want to be an apostle, and truth be told, in being positioned here as kind of the acting apostle of family life, I did not just get planted here for no reason. It wasn't without 3 years in the desert when my faith was rocked. It wasn't not exactly 3 years, and it wasn't exactly 14 years, but there was time of me quietly preaching the gospel in a personal, small ways that slowly kind of got bigger and bigger. And then there was meeting with the leaders of this church as they had to hear my gospel and say, do you actually have an understanding of this? And then the leaders of this church got to look at me and recognize the grace operating in my ministry, and then they established me in my calling. So you may say, oh, I'm an apostle. That means I need to be a CEO and a leader and a visionary and run things and build things. Hold on. Maybe right now you need the desert. Maybe you need some time to sit alone with God and make sure you're actually on board with what you're feeling called to. Or maybe you need to start small. Maybe before you build a global ministry, why don't you start in Carroll Stream? Why don't you start in Wheaton? Why don't you start in your household? Let's see if you could figure this out on a small scale first. And then maybe after some time, when you get around the kind of people that would establish you in a ministry like this, you meet with them and they test you. They prove your worth. They make sure that you are sturdy before they put you on top. And this is the reason why. Because the next thing he says after being established as an apostle, the next section he talks about how Peter was missing it. Peter was off target. The Peter, post-Christ, was missing it. He said Peter was leading other people astray. He was trying to make non-Jews follow Jewish traditions. And he started to separate from people, and he started to become a Pharisee. And Paul said, hey, Peter, that's hypocrisy. You're missing it, dude. And this brand new apostle, established by these other people, it said he confronted Peter to his face, openly and honestly, when Peter began to let his hypocrisy taint his followers, even Barnabas. Barnabas being another major church leader, began being led astray by another apostle. So this is why apostles, oftentimes, if you want to be in that top position, build a ministry, lead a church, lead a missions organization, you're going to have to be tested because you're going to need other apostles who can correct you if you miss it. Because like Peter was doing, if Peter starts to miss it, so does Barnabas, and so does the hundreds of thousands that are following him. So if you're going to be a leader, you got to make sure you're on target. So you're going to need accountability and testing. And that is what Paul details in Galatians 1 and 2. It's a good story. So the other thing too is, how did Jesus model this? Because Jesus also was an apostle. And if you say, was Jesus an apostle, really? Let's look at Hebrews 3, 1 and 2. Therefore, holy brothers and sisters who share in our heavenly calling, fix your thoughts on Jesus, whom we acknowledge as our apostle and high priest. I rest my case. So you think about what is an apostle? An apostle is a sent one, right? That's the exact Greek translation there. An apostle is a sent one. And there is no sent one more sent than Jesus Christ. He was sent to this world to reconcile the world to himself, to perform his works in his ministry, to finally come face to face with his people again since Eden. So there is no sent one more sent than Jesus Christ. So the word apostle again, sent one, kind of understanding what that is, an apostle is an empowered ambassadorial agent that acts on behalf of a sending ruler or king. They are an envoy sent with the full legal permission to act on behalf of the person who sends them. So I need to unpack that for a second. Some of you are already rocked. We can close it up right there. We're not gonna. There's more. So there's that question. So what is an envoy? An envoy, an apostle, a sent one. It is somebody, again, an empowered ambassador that acts on behalf of a sending ruler or king, sent with the full legal permission to act on behalf of the person who sends them. So a really fun example that John King has presented in the past that I love is when a police officer shows up and says, "Stop in the name of the law." They're not saying stop because I said so, and they're not saying stop because I've got a gun, although that's a good reason to. They're not saying stop or I'm going to get real mad. They're saying stop in the name of the law. So when you see a police officer saying stop in the name, if they say stop, that's one person asking you to stop. If they say stop in the name of the law, they're saying stop because I have authority given to me by a major governing structure and system that even if you shoot me and you take me down, you're not just going to have to answer to me. You're going to have to answer to everything that stands behind me that has empowered me to exercise this authority. So you're not just dealing with one person. You're dealing with me and every other police officer. The entire legal system is behind me when I say stop in the name of the law. I have been given authority by another power or authority that has delegated that to me as their ambassadorial agent. So I want to jump into Luke 9, 1 and 2 in the Passion. Jesus summoned together his 12 apostles. So to his apostles, the sent one is now sending. He's saying he summoned his apostles together and imparted to them authority over every demon and the power to heal every disease. Then he commissioned them, co-missioned, a mission that we share. We are both in the same mission now. He commissioned them to preach God's kingdom realm and to heal the sick and to demonstrate that the kingdom had arrived. It's here. As he sent them out, he gave them these instructions. As he sent them out, they are apostles, right? So they had to be sent ones. So the sent one, Jesus, sends the apostles. So he gives them instructions, but the most important part is we're going to jump to verse 6, Luke 9:6 in the Passion. The apostles departed and went into the villages with the wonderful news of God's kingdom realm, and they instantly healed diseases wherever they went. So what's cool about this is that it worked. They were given authority, and then they went out and said, hey, in the name of Jesus, sicknesses, be gone. You're not allowed here. And it's not just me saying that. It's the king who sent me. He's the one who heals diseases, but he told me that I can go out with his full legal permission and do what he does. And if that sickness says, oh, no, we're not going anywhere. I'm like, no, you don't understand. It's not because I said it. It's because he said it. If you don't think that I can heal your disease, maybe not. I have full permission to do so. But if for some reason it doesn't work, you're going to have to take it up with the big guy. Like, he is the one telling me to do this, and he's the one wanting to do it. Like, you can't just come against me. You got to go against him. Like, I'm just I'm an intermediate. I'm an envoy. I'm just the messenger, right? I'm here the one telling you of what he's going to do when he shows up. But he also gave me permission to do the same. That is pretty good, isn't it? Thank you. I like that. We got a responsive crowd today. I like this. I'm big on that. So one more thing, and this is a good one too. John 20, verses 21 and 23 in the NIV. Again, Jesus said, peace be with you. As the Father has sent me, I am sending you, apostles, out into the world. And with that, he breathed on them and said, receive the Holy Spirit. Not only the power of God, the supernatural power of God, but also his way of being. He said, I'm going to clothe you in myself. Now go and be me. With my full legal permission, you have the authority to do everything that I do. And if anyone gives you trouble, you tell me about it. Like, I'm going to show up and I'm going to do it. So one more verse. If you forgive anyone's sins, their sins are forgiven. Check that out. I thought only Jesus did that. What he's saying is, you can do that too. I'm giving you the same authority to do what I do. And if you do not forgive them, they are not forgiven. Wait, you're saying if I don't forgive somebody, they're not forgiven? But I thought Jesus forgives everybody who sins regardless of me. I want to explain this a bit because this took me a few tries. I went to the English Standard Version. If you forgive the sins of any, their sins are forgiven them. If you withhold forgiveness from any, it's withheld. Okay, so I don't produce forgiveness, but you're saying I'm holding on to forgiveness that I have to release to them. Still a little confusing. Let's try farther. King James, whosoever sins ye remit, they are remitted. And whosoever sins ye retain, they are retained. So retaining is to keep possession of. Now it's saying keep possession of their sins. So you're saying if I'm holding on to forgiveness from them, then I'm also holding on to the sin itself. Like I'm hanging on to that. Still confusing. Let's try another one. The Passion Translation. I send you to preach the forgiveness of sins, and people's sins will be forgiven. But if you don't proclaim the forgiveness of their sins, they will remain guilty. Basically, the king has arrived and he's going to set you free, but you don't know it unless I tell you that it happened. It's already happened. Every wrong you've ever committed against God, you're free, but you just don't know it yet. People are out there right now saying, I've done so much wrong in my life. I'm so guilty. God could never love me. All these things wrong. They're currently free. Their jail cell is unlocked. It's swinging wide open, and they're still in there crying about how guilty they are. They don't know they're forgiven yet. And how are they going to know unless somebody tells them? So what's amazing there is you're saying you're not giving people something they don't already have, but he's saying release that forgiveness to them because I've already done it. You can go do what I do. I've given you full legal permission to do so. So the thing that's cool about this is he says when you cast out demons, when you heal the sick, when you release forgiveness to people, what's cool about this is that if you will do it, he will do it. If you will do it, he will do it. You have his permission. If you say stop in the name of the Lord is behind you with a much bigger hand saying, yeah, what he said, right? And he would say, and people would ask you, what gives you the right to tell me to stop? I just said, stop in the name of the Lord. He gives me the right to say stop. If I say be healed in the name of Jesus, they say, who are you to think you can heal me? No, it's not me. I'm saying stop in the name of the Lord, Jesus. Like he's the one who does it, but he gave me authority to do it on his behalf. Meaning that he has given me permission, full legal permission to do what he does. So if you will do it, he will do it. So here's what I was getting rocked by then. If we have his full legal permission, well, here's what's cool about this. If you release this God-sized grace, he will release it as well. So if somebody meets you and they haven't met Jesus yet, they don't know who Jesus is, they just know you, right? And it's just you. You're not Jesus. Jesus could do whatever he wants, but it's just you. What are you going to do? Right? You're just a person. Well, if they haven't met Jesus and all they met was you, it's important that you remember that you carry the kingdom and you carry the king. Jesus within you. You're not just coming in the name of the kingdom, you're coming with the kingdom and you're coming with the king. You could not be more well equipped for any ambassadorial adventure than as carrying the king and the kingdom with you wherever you go. And now you have his full permission to do what he does. So whoever meets you, if they don't know Jesus, they should not be left wanting because you are more than enough for God to do what he wants to do. You are more than enough. You alone are more than enough for God to do what he wants to get done. As long as you remember, I carry the kingdom, I carry the king. I have his full legal permission to heal this person, to bring this person into the family. Normally it's like, hey, I want to, you come home to dad and, the little kid's like, Daddy, I want a puppy. We found it on the street. Can we keep it? Can we keep it? It's like, again, most dads would be like, absolutely not. Get out of here. But it's the kind of thing of we don't have to bring a Christian to God saying, Dad, I made a new friend. Can we keep them? Can we keep them? Can they join the family? Can we adopt them? He's saying, I already said yes. You don't even have to ask me about it. Just bring them in. And hey, God, can I heal this person right now? I want to they have sniffles. It's changed from winter to spring 8 times in the last 3 days. Can I heal them right now? God's saying, I already said yes. Like you don't need to ask me anymore. You have my permission. You have everything that I can do. I've already put in you. Just go do it. That's what he is saying. He said, I'm sending you. Go and demonstrate whom I am to this world. I've given you everything you need to be me. That's what's cool about this. When Jesus sent out the disciples to these towns and villages, everyone got healed. Everyone knew Jesus. They met Jesus, even though Jesus was in another town. So even when he was on earth, it's not like he had to be physically present. He just needed his authority, who he was, his Holy Spirit to be on them. That was enough. And that's what's cool about this too, is you say, wow, like that was absolutely amazing. I'm healed or I'm saved. How did you do this? You'd be like, I already told you. I'm here in the name of the Lord, Jesus. Now that you've met me and you've experienced enough of who he is, you should meet the real thing, right? And that's when we then hand people off over to God saying, hey, cool, I already showed them everything that you do. I gave them the onboarding spiel, right? Like I already kind of went through the PowerPoint of this is who God is and everything that he offers you, and this is who you are in him and how he died for you. So you can go and take them now, right? So it's beautiful where, again, we're not toddlers. We're not kids without authority or permission or grace to do this. God's given us what we need. He said, go be me and go with my authority. You carry all that I have within you. Go and do it. And then if they meet you and they are rocked by this, then say, great, that was because of Jesus. Now go meet Jesus. So if somebody hasn't met Jesus yet and all they met was you, that's enough. Demonstrate the kingdom. You have the king, you have the kingdom. Demonstrate it and then introduce them to the king. They even said too, of like historically speaking, when an envoy or an ambassador would travel, they would travel with the spices and the riches and the beautiful things from their kingdom. So when they arrive to somebody else, they say, hi, I'm whoever from wherever. Look at all these spices and look at the finest cloth. Look at all these wonderful things that come from where I come from. This is just to represent a taste of what it's like back home. So that's who we are too. We come carrying the treasures of heaven. The many-colored tapestries, the spices, the fragrances, the flavors, the foods, everything that's just beautiful and tasty and magnificent, that comes with us wherever we go. And we say, hey, what do you need? You know where I come from, the kingdom of God? Look at all the stuff we got in there. Like, this is just a taste of it. Like, this is just a sample. This is your Costco bite-sized piece in a paper cup. But if you want the real thing in bulk, yeah, you got to go visit the kingdom, right? So we are meant to demonstrate the kingdom of heaven. We are sent to be little envoys, little Christ, explaining to the world who he is and demonstrating not just his love, but his power as well, because that's what he did. So now I want to get back into the practical for a little bit because we're going to do that. So, one other thing. No, let's just get practical. So what does apostolic grace enable us to do? So now we're getting back to us as individuals. If you are a person who carries apostolic grace, what this is, and the way that 5Q explains it, is they'll call it then the AQ, right? Your apostolic quotient or your apostolic intelligence, the level of your apostolic intelligence. What does that help us do within the body and without or outside of the body? So apostolic intelligence is systematic. They help create systems and structures. It's entrepreneurial. They help build things that didn't previously exist, but now they do. They're adaptive, meaning if something changes, they change with it. They change with it. They're never so rigid that they can't shift if they need to. They know all the pieces and they can move them around. And they're synthetic, or I would even say they go so far as to say it's their the synergistic component of knowing how all the pieces work together. That's an apostolic grace or an apostolic intelligence. Often an apostle is the entrepreneur, the pioneer, the strategist, innovator or visionary, CEO types person who helps keep the organization focused on its mission. They focus all of the other gifts into one united assignment. That's what I think is really fun. And I think that was really the first clue to me that I was apostolic, because all of a sudden I'm in a CEO type position, very mission focused. We're going to get to the living room. We're going to establish the fivefold. Visionary in the sense of I drove past the building and I saw it done. And God's like, hey, that's it, and that's your assignment. I'm sending you. Go build it. I was like, okay, I guess I'll go build it. And again, that was confirmed to me before I ever even took a real step in that direction. Confirmed multiple ways. And then helping unite all these other gifts and activate and empower individuals towards that gift. What have we been doing since October? The living room. Like, we've been focused on this, moving towards it. And honestly, too, we'll update you in a bit. we're like on track to do it. We've got like 1 or 2 more hurdles left that I think we can really jump, and we're there. Like, we have united. The many people of Family Life Christian Center and all of our friends in the surrounding areas have all been united towards this one goal, building this new thing, moving in this direction, empowering people, and actually allowing us to do that thing. We're doing it. That's exactly what we're doing. So it's a very exciting time for all of that. We'll say more about that in a bit. And yeah, they build kingdom structures that fulfill Jesus' mission. And I would also say too, well, we'll get to that in a second too. One last thing about apostles is they may be CEOs and leaders, but they're not tyrants though. It's not just a matter of I'm an apostle, so that means I'm in charge, everybody do what I say. That's not really how it goes. Let's think about how Paul describes it. 1 Corinthians 4, starting in verse 12. 1 Corinthians 4:12. I think I have the wrong. All right, so I'll read this because that's the wrong one. So anyways, he starts here. He says, we work hard with our own hands. We're persecuted. We're beaten. We're jailed. We're doing all these hard things. And then at the end of that section, there's another section that says, in the Passion, it calls it a father's warning, is what he says to the church in Galatia. He calls it a father's warning. He says, verse 14. That's what it is. I jumped ahead a bit. Thank you. I'm writing this not to shame you. And he's telling them hard things. Like being an apostle, being a Christian is hard. It's real. You might get persecuted, might get beat up, might get killed. It's hard work to be an apostle. But I'm writing this to you, my kids, children, not to shame you, but to warn you as my dear children. Next verse. Even if you had 10,000 guardians in Christ. That word guardians was also translated as teachers. Even if you had 10,000 teachers, another translation said babysitters. Even if you had 10,000 babysitters in Christ, which I love, of just people who are just looking at you and telling you what to do, right? Of saying, this is the correct answer. You're not supposed to do that. Don't put that in your mouth. This is like, you may have 10,000 of those in Christ, but you do not have many fathers. So there's a difference between a teacher and a father, a babysitter and a father, a CEO and a father. For in Christ Jesus, I became your father through the gospel. So there's something different there. The Amplified Version, I said that. So what I want to say there too is he goes on to say, again, the chapter previous, he was just talking about how much he suffered for you, for the church in Galatia. I've gone through all this persecution, all this hard work. I've been beaten and stoned and criticized just so I can help you guys get established. And what he says later there is, a father would do anything for their kids. He's saying it's not a tyrant, an overlord, just telling you what to do this, do this, do that. He's saying, I love you guys so much. I need you guys to fully understand your calling. I want you guys to be so closely in line with the gospel that you never get led astray. I want you to be protected. I want you to be empowered and built up. I want you to be a family. And I want you to never forget that you are part of a family and that me, your dad, who absolutely loves you, I'm always going to be there for you. Like even if I'm traveling or I'm in another city or I'm planting another church, you are still my kids too. And I would do anything for my kids. I love my kids. So not all fathers are apostles, but all apostles are fathers. A good, mature apostle is not there for status. They're not there for power or for fame. They're there because they want to take care of the family. They want to see this family healthy, working together. I want to see every single one of you achieve the highest possible calling. You know, as much Jesus as you could fit into your mind and in your heart, I want it to be there. Whatever the highest possible dream you could have, I want you to have that dream. I'm here for you. I'm fighting for you. I will suffer for you because you're my kids and I love you. So in apostolic grace, that's that part of Jesus that the apostles carry. It's the establishment of the kingdom, and it's a father's heart for their kids. A lot of times apostles will carry that. So not all fathers are apostles, but all apostles or fathers or mothers. Mothers, you know the same thing too. You do anything for those kids. So now, last thing, getting practical here. Takeaways. How do apostles help us to equip the body, right? Because if it's everyone has something for somebody else within the church, what do apostles have to offer the church, structurally speaking? So an apostle, for you personally, they can give you vision for your future like nothing else. They have this, again, big picture idea. When you talk to a person, they're not just going to figure out what you're supposed to do right now. They're going to see the big picture and the full story of what God is telling you in your life, where you're to be positioned and where you're probably going, and they're going to help keep you on that. They're going to help you focus. They're going to help you know your destiny and your calling. Apostles are big on destiny, really big on destiny. They'll give you the big picture view of what God's doing. We had one of our worship nights a while back, our encounter nights. I met someone who said, like, hey, I feel uncomfortable in a church still, but I'm really excited about Jesus. Like, here's the thing. I used to be a witch, and like I was very in tune with spirits, but I never knew the Holy Spirit, and I never knew God, and God has rescued me from that. So now I'm in the church, and she said, like, we were encouraging people to prophesy. She's like, I'm afraid to prophesy because I don't want to hear the wrong spirit again. I know what that's like. I know what it is. I know I'm very, very good at accessing the spiritual realm, and I don't want to come into church and then accidentally, tap into the wrong spirit again. And that was a real concern. And you can imagine how somebody in that situation would say, yeah, maybe I am a little bit afraid to start talking to spirits again, even if it is the Holy Spirit. I just don't want to get that wrong. And God immediately gave me a word for her. And he said, like, ma'am, miss, you're going to be a prophet. Like, you really are. Here's the cool thing. If you think about the Marvel hero Black Widow, right, of the Avengers, she was trained to be an assassin for a special interest group that was meant to kill, steal, and destroy and move things around for the forces of evil or whatever dark order there was. But then she teamed up with the Avengers, right? She changed sides, and the same skill set that helped her succeed in the darkness helps her succeed in the light. She didn't have to start over from scratch. God said, no, we can use all of this. Let me just redeem it, and now just keep doing exactly what you've been doing. But you're going to do it for the good guys now. So I'm like, you're Black Widow. She's like, what are you talking about? I'm like, no, let me explain. So I kind of explain all this piece, but what I love about that is it wasn't just a prophetic moment of what does God want to say to you right here in this moment. That was God saying, hey, this is her destiny. This is what I'm calling her into. This is the grand journey that I have her on. I'm giving you my big picture so you can tell her where she is in the big picture right now. And I said, oh, I know exactly where you are, and I know exactly where you've been. I know exactly where you're going. I know the whole picture. God's given me the whole story of what he's doing in your life right now. That's an apostolic thing. Apostolic prophetic, I would say, is kind of where that lines up. So I want to do this too. So in terms of how can an apostle help equip you with that apostolic grace? If they are meant to build up and equip the saints, how do they equip you personally? So I have a graphic for this as well. So one, they're going to help you know, one previous, Ken. There we go. So they'll help you find your place in the body. An apostle might be able to find a person and say, I know exactly where you fit in this big, many-piece, moving, multiple-part system of the church. I see your gifting, and I know exactly where that could help us because I know how this whole thing runs, and I know exactly where you would fit. So apostles can often help place you in the body of Christ or help you understand a vision for your life or what you might be good at. And then they'll keep that vision in front of you. An apostle then will say, hey, this is the mission. This is the goal. We're big on mission. We're big on focus. We've been sent. We're doing something. You've been sent. You're doing something. I'm going to help you never forget that. Because even if you succeed at the wrong assignment, do you know what that's called? It's called failing. You didn't succeed at your assignment. It doesn't matter if you ace the test in the next classroom. You got to ace the one that's in front of you. Ace your assignment. That's an apostolic thing. So an apostle will also launch you into your destiny. Not only will they do that, they'll help you see the big picture, and they'll say, what can you do right now to make sure that what you're doing today will get you to where you need to be in 10 years? They're going to help you think about that long-term goal. How can you be equipped? How can we strategize? And how can you position yourself for your destiny so that the second God says it's time, you're ready? That's what an apostle is going to do. And then also they're going to bring systems and structures to make your life or ministry more simple and effective. Sometimes they're big on technology. They're big on changing the way that we do things so that it all works together better for the purpose of the bigger vision. So that is what an apostle can do for you if you are not apostolic. But now I want to talk to you who are apostolic. Quick show of hands, who in here feels like they are, like apostolic grace is one of their primary gifts in the fivefold? Who thinks that's a big one for them? Yeah, very good. I think we attract an abnormal amount of apostles to this church because I think we have a lot of these CEO, entrepreneur, business type people. We get a lot of those here, I think, because they're just excited that we are all about launching you into your highest calling in Christ. The ambitious, big dreamers, they're thrilled about the idea that you're going to fulfill your highest calling in Christ. Let's do whatever it takes, baby. We're going to do it. So anyway, so then the question is, if you are an apostle, if you carry apostolic grace, how can you help equip the body? Well, you can do any of these things, but what I'd like to say today is if you're an apostle, one thing you can do today to help empower and equip the body of Christ, join a ministry and make it better. Or start one. If we don't have one, you're an entrepreneur. Get out there and do it. Get some people together. Come up with a vision. Come up with a strategy and make it happen. And if it doesn't exist or it does exist, join a ministry and make it better. One of the best examples of this in our church right now is David Barrow, who's but he's sort of taken over running media. So David Barrow, what does he know about media? Close to nothing. When it comes to ProPresenter, when it comes to Spotify, all the tech and sound back there, he has zero experience. But as an apostle, he said, maybe I don't, but I can figure it out and then I can build it. Because we want to have a lot of people. I think I can activate people. I think I can create a system. I think I can create a calendar and a culture and a system and checklist to make sure that the ministry thrives, even if it's not my strong suit. So I love that with an apostolic grace mindset, David stepped into a ministry he didn't understand just so that he could help build it. That's what apostles do. When an apostle is part of a ministry, you're going to help create those systems. You're going to help keep people on focus, on mission. You're going to activate and empower everyone else's gifts in the same direction. We need apostles. Of course we do. So even in big ways and small ways, join a ministry or start one. Next, find a problem and fix it. Simple things like that. The apostles are the ones, they know the mission, they know the goals, and if they, like the apostles are often the ones who come into the room and just, they see the thing that's wrong, go, that needs to be fixed, and I know exactly how to fix it, but then most people say, but someone else will fix it. I would argue, fix it. If you're an apostle, you know how it's supposed to run. You know the goal. You know where we're headed. If you say, hey, there's something not quite right on the email. Hey, there's something not quite right on this banner. Hey, I want to question something about this over here. Ask those questions, find the problems, fix them. You're good at that. And then the last thing, as an apostle, make yourself available as a mentor. Shepherds are super valuable in one-on-one because they're going to help comfort you. And prophets are super helpful one-on-one because they're going to tell you what God is saying about you right now and what he's awakening in you. An apostle is super helpful as a mentor because an apostle is going to build you up. They're going to equip you. They're going to strategize with you. They're going to tell you the vision for your future, the big picture of what God's calling you on, and they're going to launch you into your destiny. Apostles make great mentors. So if you would like to be a mentor as an apostle, please email us at admin@familylife.cc because we want to know who's out there willing to do so. And if you would like to be mentored, if you're saying, I don't really know what my purpose is, I don't really know where God is calling me, I don't know what I'm supposed to do with my life, I don't know what I should be doing now because I don't know what I should be doing in 10 years, I don't know what the point of my life is, I don't know what my gifts are or what to do with them, talk to an apostle. So if you would like to talk to an apostle, an apostolically graced person, or if you are an apostle and you'd like to offer that kind of, just sit down and have a conversation with somebody and just explore the question of what's God doing with you? What is God doing in your life? What gifts do you have and how is he going to use them? That's a great opportunity to help people fulfill their highest calling in Christ, launch people in their destinies, equip and empower, give people a purpose and a place. So either way, if you'd like to receive that kind of mentorship or offer it, contact us at admin@familylife.cc. And that's it. So the big takeaway here too is saying not just a matter of let's just understand what apostles are so that we can talk about them and it's somebody else. But again, the fivefold is that we got apostles in the room right now, which means if you are an apostle or you need one, we have it. You have an opportunity to express your gift here. And if you need that gift, you have an opportunity to receive that gift here. And this is what's so exciting is that there's 4 more of these. And if you listened to the whole thing today and thought that none of that sounded interesting to me, I guarantee you, one of the other 4 is going to rock your world because you may find out who you are. You might finally understand it, where you fit in the puzzle of what God's doing. And I'll just remind you again today that we're all called to be equipped in the apostolic, meaning that at any point, God can send you as his envoy with his full legal permission to bring the kingdom, to bring the king, to do what he does, to represent him to the world and to bring structures and systems that fulfill Jesus' mission here on the earth. How about like that? Good stuff.